Baruch Hashem, we are rolling. I apologize for being late. I'm not asking for any pity, but I'm just asking for your understanding that it is tough to churn out a quality class, even non-quality, any type of class, just every single night to get it out. Not easy. Okay, so thank you for being with me. We're going to give tzedakah, as has become our custom here, and this is in accordance with the fact that this whole learning that we're doing is not just a preparation for Yudalef Nisan for the Rebbe's birthday, but it's a gift of Torah for the Rebbe's birthday. And the Rebbe spoke about the fact that the gift should be Torah study along with tzedakah. So we're going to give a little tzedakah on the Koilel Chabad Pushka app. Yay. Oh, my Pushka is full. I have a $36 limit on my Pushka. Now it's full. All right. I'll figure out later how to empty it. I'm not going to do that while I'm sitting here with you guys. How do I silence this so it doesn't bother? Okay. Great. Silenced. All right. Thursday night, Leil Shishi, last night of the weekdays. We have a double letter because we do the letter for tonight and for Friday night together. I made a bracha earlier. L'chaim. Here's our first letter for tonight. It's from the Igros Chelik Tess. I think both letters are from Tess tonight. Yeah. And this is letter 2885. Baruch Hashem, Aleph Derish Chedesh Elul, Tavshin Yudalid, Brooklyn, Shalom Uvracha. Okay. First day of Rosh Chodesh Elul, 1954. Shalom Abracha, that means it's written to a man. B'mayna al michtave, bli hayraz zman haksiva, in answer to your undated letter, by case in which you write, Es asher avar alav ubnei beisei v'asher enenu roya hatzlacha b'inyana v'chulu. You say about what's happened to you and your family, and that you have not seen success in your affairs. U'mesayim, and you conclude, shebenafshehu Yehudi haroitze lakaimes mitzvahs teiraseinu, that in your soul, in English it would often say like in my heart, but he says benafshe, in my soul, that in your soul you are a Jew who wants to perform, who wants to observe Torah mitzvahs. But you're not pious, and you don't keep Shabbos, etc. Okay. So somebody wrote to the Rebbe that he hasn't had success. He and his family, he's looking at him and his family's situation, and they haven't had success in their endeavors. And also, I want to, in my soul, I want to be a observant Jew, but I'm not. And I don't keep Shabbos. Okay. Just like it is regarding the physical life of the body. A person speaks day and night. Imagine, in theory, if a person were to speak day and night about the benefit of eating food. And he wants to get that benefit of eating food. He wants to eat some of this food. But as long as he doesn't actually eat, his body will not benefit from all that talk that he's talking about, how he would benefit from eating food. But he's just talking about it. He's not actually eating. And over the time, he'll get weaker until the end, and he won't even have the strength to speak anymore about the benefit of food. Now, obviously, that's just a mushal, right? That's an analogy. But it's such a great analogy. It's because first of all, it's funny. It's actually funny. Imagine this guy who's constantly talking about, what would really be good for my body? It is good for my body. Eating food. Yeah, you eat food and you get calories and you can do stuff and you get nutrition and your body rebuilds itself from the nutrients and the food. And he's talking and talking. But did you eat? No. But I want to tell you more about food. But did you eat? No, I didn't eat. And Yom V'Layla, he's talking day and night about eating food and it's going to benefit my body. But he doesn't eat. He never eats until he's starving. And now he's too weak to talk about the benefits of eating. It's funny because there's an old joke. I heard it from my my grandfather, Olav Shalom, and I've also heard Josh Gordon, Olav Shalom, say this joke in the name of his father. So I think it's probably just a joke that the old Jews used to like to tell. And it's not funny, but it's, the joke is there was a farmer who was upset because he realized he's spending so much money on oats for his horse. This costs too much. Why do I have to spend so much money on oats? So he cut down the amount of oats that he gives the horse. Now he's saving money. This is great. And he looks at the books. He's about to make a profit, but he starts to save a little bit more money. So he cuts down the oats and that he's feeding the horse. And now he's saving more money. He's getting closer to actually breaking even and making a profit. And then finally, he cuts down the horse to no food at all. And once he doesn't spend any money on horse food, so now he doesn't have that expense. Now he starts to make money. And then his horse dies. And he says, what rotten luck I have that just when I started making money, my horse died. The horse died because he starved it to death, right? Okay. And I said it wasn't funny. So the point is, I love this mashal that Rebbe is saying. There's a guy who's talking about how great food is for your body. I'm not talking about junk food, okay? I'm not talking about, the garbage that we eat. I'm saying nutrition. And the guy's not eating, and he's malnourished, and he's starving. Okay? So it's a mashal. Kamei kain mamash. So too, literally so. Hu benegeh lechaya neshama. When you're talking about chaya ha-neshama. The mashal was about chaya haguf. The nimshal is about chaya neshama. So the analogy is the life of the body. The analog is the life of the soul. Even the guy speaks constantly about how he wants to do mitzvahs and the benefit of mitzvahs and the like. But as long as he doesn't do it in actuality, Ein haneshama mischazekes, the soul isn't getting strengthened. V'kevin shechosra la inyoneha hare nechalashes mizman lazman. So the soul is being deprived of what it needs, and it's going to get weaker over time. Ubechol hamadubar la'el b'hanegeh laguf. Now, everything we said above about the body, everything we said about the body, that would apply to the neshama, right? Ubemela ain't tzarich lechapes oid sibais lehedra hatzlacha ben yonav. And therefore, now tying it back to the other piece of information the person mentioned in his letter to the Rebbe says, you don't really have to go searching for other reasons for their lack of success. See, isn't it interesting? These 2 points the person mentioned. Me and my family don't have any success in any of our endeavors. I really want to be frum. I want to do mitzvahs, but, I'm not. So that Rebbe first starts with the mashal of the guy who's talking about the benefits of food and is starving because he won't eat, and saying, okay, that's kind of like you. You're speaking about the benefits of mitzvahs, but your soul, meanwhile, is starving, and it's getting weaker, God forbid. And then you also mentioned that you're not having success in your life. Well, you don't have to go searching for any more explanation than you have it right there. You have it right there. And the Rebbe spells it out. Your lack of Torah observance is enough of an explanation, levar, to explain the lack of success. You see it right there. We spoke about this last night, I think, about how the Rebbe often speaks about the idea of, the words of the Zohar are, Yistako baraiso bara alma. Hashem looked into the Torah and he created the world. And that the Rebbe calls it, and the Rebbe used the English word blueprint, that Torah is the blueprint for the world. This is also, by the way, similar when the Rebbe introduced the 12 psukim and the second batch of the 12 psukim. There were 2 dates, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, and there was Lag Baimer. So the second batch, the second group of 6 of the 12 psukim starts with Bereshis, and that's similarly what the Rebbe said about what's the meaning of the verse Bereshis bara Elokim, that a child should know that the Eibishter created this world. So if it's the Eibishter's world, that means there can be no contradiction between following Hashem's law and succeeding in Hashem's world. It's a false dichotomy. It's a false dilemma. It's not true. I spoke about this at length last night, and if you didn't hear last night's share, you can go back and listen to it. At any rate, so that I was saying your lack of success in the world, it's, like put 2 and 2 together. Like, you're not doing what you need to do to strengthen your neshama, and then obviously that's causing lack of success in your material affairs. Okay, let's keep going here. Yeah. Where would I go? Oh, okay. Now, the Rebbe anticipates a question. Well, hold on a second. I see people who don't observe mitzvahs and they're successful. So why are you telling me that my lack of Torah observance is the reason for my lack of success? So the Rebbe anticipates that question. Even though we see people who don't keep mitzvahs and they are nevertheless successful. We do not know Hashem's calculations, why he pays some people up front, why he pays other people at a later date, and the reason for the difference between the two. In other words, this is a common concept that's explained in many places, that sometimes when you see wicked people prevailing, it's because whatever good that they have done, they have earned some reward, so Hashem just pays them all the reward up front, and that's it. But they're not going on to get more than that. Whereas other people have a great reward coming, and they haven't gotten paid yet, but they have a huge reward in store. And that can be one of the explanations for why you see the wicked prosper, and also conversely why you see the righteous suffer, although the Rebbe doesn't mention that explicitly. Since you yourself write, it's one of my favorite things when the Rebbe will say in a letter, since you yourself write, using the letter writer's own words to help give them clarity. And the reason I love it is I want to be clear. It's not like throwing words back in someone's face, God forbid, because that's, a dirty trick in an argument where you take someone's own words and you use it against them. It's not a dirty trick. It's actually a valid, like in debate, if you use someone's own words to defeat their argument. But that's not what the Rebbe is doing. At least that's not how I see it. It's that the Rebbe is getting people in touch with their own clarity. And, I've found this many, many times. More times than I could count. In fact, it's almost every time you find this, that the question contains the answer, or the problem already points you toward the solution. So it's like the Rebbe takes the letter, which is written in a state of doubt, and sort of cuts and pastes and gives it back in a state of clarity, and says, like, you're already answering your own question, right? Okay. So since you yourself write in your letter, Shehu Maimin b'Torah, that you believe in Torah, Hare kvar kosov b'Torah v'aseres hadibris eidis hechreich d'shmiras Shabbos v'aschar hakosher b'zeh. Well, Torah already writes about the reward of keeping Shabbos, the importance of keeping Shabbos, and the reward of Shabbos. V'chein gam b'negei l'shar mitzvahs ma'asiyos af she'ein ma'azkira eidaisam b'michtave, as well as the other mitzvahs that you don't mention. He mentioned the guy who specifically mentioned Shabbos, but the Rebbe says also the other mitzvahs. In other words, you're answering your own question. You say that you believe in Torah. Well, Torah says that there's, first of all, it's a necessity to keep mitzvahs, but also there's a reward for keeping mitzvahs. So, like, boom, right there, without maybe consciously realizing it, you're answering your own question. V'im latzasa yishma. Now, if you'll listen to my advice, how they take it from yad immediately. That's no joke. Take it from yad immediately. Yivtko es kol mezuzos b'dirosam shia kasheris kedin. You should check all of your mezuzos in your house to make sure that they're kosher. The guy says he's not observant. Maybe he doesn't even have mezuzos. But that's a nice way of saying, and if you don't have them, you better get them. V'yaschala tefillin, you should start putting on tefillin. B'chol yom chayil, every weekday. Kedin, as is in accordance with halacha. V'yispal al kol ponim, very interesting that Rebbe gives a formula here. You should put on tefillin, and what should you do? V'yispal al kol ponim, and at least daven krishma, u'shmein esrei, the shema, and the Shemay Esrei. It's very interesting. I've seen many letters that Rebbe speak about tefillin, but not necessarily that formula of tefillin and Shema and Shemay Esrei. I mean, obviously it's not Hira l'Rabim. This is not a general directive, but if this is written to this specific individual, it's nevertheless very, very interesting that the Rebbe is giving him sort of this formula of how he should conduct himself. V'yanhig takef my chole kosher. You should keep a kosher home, bebeisam in your house. V'chol zehu noisef al shmira Shabbos, and all that is in addition to keeping Shabbos. I'm laughing because the guy wrote to the Rebbe, "I'm not from. I don't keep Shabbos," and the Rebbe's like, "Yeah, and not only should you start keeping Shabbos, but tefillin and kashrus." Like Shabbos you mentioned, yeah, also Shabbos, but also kashrus and tefillin. V'kevin she mazkir es harav chassid yena shicha edelkopf. Since you mentioned this chassid yena edelkopf b'mechtav in your letter, hare betich. We're talking about a chassid in Eretz Yisrael. He passed away in the Chavs, I think maybe Tafshin Chav Zayin. And so this letter we said was Tafshin Yudalit. So he was originally from Rostov. I think they called him Yene Rostover. He was also involved in relocating the Rebbe Rashab's oil, which is a whole amazing story. A very prominent chassid, illustrious chassid, involved in Jewish education in Eretz Yisrael, involved in the Reshet and the network of schools. So apparently this person lived in Eretz Yisrael. He knew Rebbe Yena. And so the Rebbe says, since you mentioned Rebbe Yena in your letter, Hare betach yisayeya loy b'chol ha'inyonim haniskarma. Now, certainly he could help you with all this in your, the kashrus and the Shabbos and the tefillin. The gamla harese eichla niech tefillin chulu v'chulu, and he could also show you how to put on tefillin. Umuvtachani she kishiyasa, and I'm certain that when you do all of this, hare b'meshach zman kotzer, in a very short time, yira atzlacha ben yanav, you're going to start to see success in your endeavors. I await good news. May you be written and sealed for a good year. B'shem kvid shad mashlita, in the name of the Rebbe Shlita, mazkir, signed by the secretary. Okay, that's it was a fun letter to learn that. The mashal about the guy who speaks about food and never eats is a really it's a powerful. It's funny. It's powerful. And it's very, very clear. Okay. All right. Chaim. By the way, this is just coffee. And why am I drinking coffee at 9 p.m.? Because I am. Still have to learn Rambam. What do you need to know my personal life? Okay. Second letter, Baruch Hashem, Chaim Menachem Av, Tafshin Yudal, Brooklyn, New York, Shalom Uvracha. This is actually, I don't know why we did this as the second letter, because it's actually written 2 weeks before the first letter. So it's out of chronological order, but it's fine. Okay. This is Yiddish. I apologize for the Nakudas. The Nakudas in general, by the way, are Geferlach. That means awful, downright awful. So I apologize in general for the PDFs. I told you this before, that like 2-3 days before this project started, I was speaking to Rabbi Shais Taub, and I was like, how can we do this? We need a lot more support. We need a whole team. And then we just threw ourselves into it, and we said, you know what? Anything worth being done is worth being done poorly. You just got to throw yourself in. And yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but perfectionism is it's not a good trait. So, I mean, obviously try to do things as good as you can, but sometimes you just got to say, I'm going to do it. It's not going to be perfect, but at least it'll get done. So I hope you guys appreciate that we had to overcome our perfectionism in order to bring you this series. Yeah, so the nikud is gefährlich. I'm sorry, and it's me. I'm the one who's obtaining these. The English translations are pretty good, by the way. That's Zalman Bendit. He's Reb Zalman. So the English is pretty good. But the Nakudas are awful. I'm sorry. And the Yiddish here, Nakudas, I don't know. The AI that we used for this just crashed because it didn't know what to do with the Yiddish. So I'm really actually afraid I'm going to pronounce everything wrong because it did bizarre things with the Yiddish words with the vowels. I'm going to try to, maybe I should even take off my glasses so I can't even see the Nakudas. All right, I'm sure you find this all fascinating. In Antwer auf Eier Brief von Yud Menachem Av, an answer to your letter from the 10th of Av. Wundert mir auf euch, was ihr schreibt, als der Chiluk von Jahren bis dem Jahr is chutz mit derech hatava. I'm really perplexed by what you write in your letter, that the difference between previous years and this current year is unnatural or beyond the natural order. The original Yiddish was chutz mederech hatava, like unnaturally, inexplicably unnaturally different this year. V'al pi sigdena michtov meint ihr nit in der Zeit von Tev. And from the context of your letter, I don't think you meant that in a good way. Meaning, you said that this past year has been chutz mederech hatava. You didn't say chutz mederech hatava is schlecht, but that was the implication, because the whole letter was in a context of complaining. So yeah, so there's basically this person wrote to the Rebbe and saying, I'm having an unnaturally bad year. Okay. Laut mein Meinung, according to my view, ob wird sich der Monin benageet zu gesund. If you will think about, try to remember regarding health matters, und nehmen in acht was ihr freut dich hier, erwart b'shateva u'metzlachas, and pay attention to the fact your wife is expecting, may it be in a good and auspicious time, is doch hadavar barer as es is chutz mederech hatava toida lakel, aber b'tzada tov. It is clear that yes, your current year is chutz mederech hatava, it is unnatural, but unnaturally, thank God, good. I love it because the guy writes to the Rebbe and says, my year is unnaturally bad. And not only does the Rebbe say to him, unnaturally bad? No, it's not that bad. I mean, maybe it's bad, but it's like, naturally bad. No, the Rebbe says, it's unnaturally good. Unnaturally good, meaning unnatural is a weird way of saying it. In English, it sounds like synthetic is unnatural. In the Signon, in the Aussprache, the idiom of Chassidus, Tava means nature. Nature, natural, doesn't mean like walking in the forest and listening to birds sing. Natural means the predictable order of creation, the things that we get used to and we don't see God's hand because it's just the way that it always is. As opposed to lamayla mederech hatava, things that are above the way of nature, means where you see overtly how there is hashgacha pratis. Now, obviously, there's hashgacha pratis even when things are going according to Teva. But the point is that if I were to give you an English word to say unnatural, I would say miraculous. What's the opposite of natural? Miraculous. B'derech hateva, b'derech nes. In the manner of nature, in the manner of a miracle. Or what we would say supernatural. Supernatural doesn't mean really, really natural. Like there's natural and then there's supernatural. It's really natural. No. Super means above. So there's natural and then there's supernatural, that which transcends nature, surpasses nature. So it's like this guy wrote to the Rebbe and said, I'm having a supernaturally bad year. And the Rebbe says, I think you're having a supernaturally good year. Okay. But the Rebbe's not just saying that. The Rebbe's now going to walk him through it. Okay. So first of all, he says, think about health. Now, I don't know what the guy's health situation was before, but apparently something got resolved. Or maybe it was his wife. Okay. Because then the Rebbe mentions your wife is expecting. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she was having a problem conceiving. And that was the issue. But whatever it is, that's not, whatever was that problem isn't happening now. And in fact, Baruch Hashem, your wife is expecting. May it be in a good and auspicious time. Like, that's a miracle. Yesterday, we had a letter about marriage. Yeah. And no, not about, no. That was yesterday, we had a letter about marriage. Then 2 days ago, we had a letter, I think, about worrying. This guy was worried about his sister-in-law got engaged. And the Rebbe was saying, a shidduch is kosher k'kriyas yamsuf. She got engaged. That's a miracle. And the Rebbe calls it a nes. And so a friend of mine called me up today, and he's like, I'm just blown away by that one line that the Rebbe called it a miracle. And we forget that a shidduch is a miracle, right? Like we throw around these phrases, kosher k'kriyas yamsuf, but hold on a second, you have to really absorb that. Like, it's a miracle. So, like, your wife is expecting. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Like, stop. Will you stop a second and just, like, you're writing to me and saying that your life is bad. It's unnaturally bad. Like, your wife is expecting. Like, that's unnaturally good. That's a miracle. It's a miracle. Okay. So the Rebbe is not just arguing and saying, you say it's bad, I say it's good. The Rebbe is walking him through the facts. This is not just like, let's pretend everything is good. This is, no, let's be realistic. Everything really is good. And if you will look at the facts, you will see that it is good. And not only it's good, it's supernaturally good. Und das was auf a kurze Weile. Okay, now, the Rebbe says, this, that for a short time, wird weniger in die Schumim, was liegen in Bank auf der Kante. The fact that your money in your account is diminishing right now for a short time temporarily. I guess the guy had some money issues. I don't know what this guy's situation is, but I think the guy was super wealthy because the Rebbe refers to the fact that he has enough, in a few lines, the Rebbe is going to refer to the fact that this guy has enough money to live on for years. So I know wealthy people. And it's funny, because wealthy people have a different relationship with money, where it's like they have enough money for a normal, like typical family to live on for years. But at the same time, so you would think they would never worry about money. But then it's at the same time, when you have millions of dollars in the bank, so maybe one day you're losing. I lost $1 million yesterday. Now, it doesn't wipe them out. It's not like they're not going to live comfortably, but it is stressful. Bam! I just lost $1 million. So if for average family to lose $1 million, they don't. First of all, they don't have $1 million. But if they lost it, that would be devastating. So it sounds like that's the kind of situation here. This is a guy who has a lot of money, but he just lost a lot of money, and he's stressed. He's stressed, and maybe that was the context of where he said, I'm having an unnaturally bad year. Like, man, like I was making so much money, and obviously the guy made money because he was wealthy, and then this year, not only I wasn't making money, I got clobbered. I had an unnaturally bad year. And then I was stopping him and being like, okay, yeah, I hear it. You just lost a lot of money this year, but you're living a miraculously good life. And I'm not pretending you didn't lose a bunch of money, but like, can we just put that in context for a second? So here's where the Rebbe puts it in context. So, okay, so you have less money in the bank account. Yeah. Is doch das nittig sarin binyanim bepoil. It's not a real loss. Wer redt noch binyanim banichheim zayne. It's very interesting. The fact that the numbers in the account are smaller, it's not a real loss. It's imaginary. It's so funny because it's true. It's like, it's a video game. I was thinking about that recently. Like, I'm looking at my bank account. I'm in the middle of, should I talk about my personal life? It's not like super personal. It's my public personal life. But I'm trying to finish building the SoulWords house, God willing, which we'll talk about maybe later tonight about Yud Aleph Nissen. Maybe we'll have an event. We'll have a soft opening. You look at the money in the account, there's so much money, you're spending so much money, and the numbers go up, and then the numbers go down. I was thinking, this is a video game. Like, where's the money? Like, where's the gold in Fort Knox? I'm not seeing any physical money here. These are just numbers, like a video game score, right? It's imaginary. So the Rebbe is saying to him, it's not a real sudden bepoil. So the number went up, then the number went down, but you're not actually living differently because of it. And then the Rebbe says, and especially, when you're talking about Bani Chaim Mezayna, when you're talking about the real areas of blessing, of family, and real parnasa, meaning having what to eat, having what to subsist on, and health. Like, thank God. Like, okay, the numbers are going down, and it looks scary when you look at the bank statement, but the real things in life, like, there's no lack in those things. So perspective. You do a Maimer Azal, cite the Memches Amid Base. And it's known what the sages say. In the Gemara cite 48b, what do they say? As der was hat auf der Heizof und Tag und deiget far morgen harizeh miktani amana. Someone who has expenses for today, he has the money to cover today's expenses, and he worries about tomorrow's expenses, he lacks faith. You have the money right now. Any expense that you have right now, you have. Okay, so you're worried about tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow. Is as men is Baruch Hashem versorgt b'mezumen, nicht nur für dem Tag, nur auf dem Chodesh euch, Veret noch auf etliche Jahr. So not only if you have enough money for today, and really for a few months, and actually for a few years, you can live on what you have for a few years. That's what I was referring to before. Norman deiget was wird sein in mehrere Jahre in a room, but you're worried what's going to be in the future years. Und wenn der deposit, it's an English word. Wenn der Deposit in Bank wird kleiner, wird die Deige größer, and the smaller the deposit, the bigger the worry. Als auf mehrere Jahre in a room, but you're worried about money that you don't need right now for many years. Und men vergesst, b'shas meise, you're forgetting, as das hat nicht an Erich, und ist nicht von dem Sog von Hatovas Matzev Habrius Umilui Mishailas Lavav of Latov. This lack of money has no comparison to the things that you actually have, which is an improvement in health and the fulfillment of your heart's wishes. I think he's talking about his wife being pregnant. That was the fulfillment of his heart's wish. So the fact that the deposits are smaller and you have less money in the bank compared to the real brachas that you have of improved health and having your heart's wishes granted, it's nothing. It's nothing. Is das gor a gewaltige helm v'hester, and to feel like that you're lacking when you're in such a situation is a gewaltige helm v'hester. It's the result of a profound concealment. Selbstverständlich mein ich da nicht dem Inyan von Musser sagen. It's self-understood. I do not mean to give you Musser. Giving Musser is like critique. I'm not here to give you critique. Really, I'm not. Says nor a shod. I think it's a pity. Und sar, and it's painful. When a yid was hot Mit was zu sein besimcha, when a Jew has so much to be happy for, nit nur binyanim ruchnim, nor afilu binyanim gashim, not just spiritually, but also materially. Das heißt, as die Simcha is dann nicht nur von der Neshama, nor euch von dem Guf, that he has a Simcha not just of the soul, but also of the body. Sai von nefesh olikis, sai von nefesh abamis, both from the godly soul and the animal soul. Is Tmura zeh, is versorgt und sich mit Steyr, was wird ton der Hazonim and Feines Lakel Bechesed Verachmim in etliche Jahre rum, ben agel parnosasei parnosas b'nei beisai. Like, instead of being happy with all you have to be happy for, you're worried and you're pained about what's going to be. How is the one who provides for all, Hashem who provides for all, how is he going to deal with you in many years to come? Like that Rebbe is saying, I'm not giving you musar. I'm telling you, it's a shod and it's a tsar. It's a pity and it's a pain. I'm just telling you, like, that's sad. Like, you have so much to be besimcha about. And it's not just spiritual, it's also material. It's not just nefesh elokis, it's also nefesh abamis. And you choose to be stressed because the money situation that really doesn't even affect your day-to-day life. Like, please, like I'm saying, I've said it before, I'll say it again, a little perspective. Okay. Since we're in the happy days, when was this letter written? You remember from the beginning? What the date was? Wasn't it Yud Menachem Av? So Yud Menachem Av is the day after Tisha B'Av. So the Rebbe says, we're in the happy days. What does it mean, the happy days? Und leut dem Ausdruck von Zayar. It says in the Zayar, Yisrei, Ayin Ches, on the base. As von Asiri Ba'av, from the 10th of Av, meaning the day after Tisha B'Av, Esav, Isabed V'lei Ishtakach. Esav, the power of Esav, is lost and not found. Azay Zolen Eich, the Kud is here, I'm making it hard to read. Zolen Eich gain verloren und sich nicht aufsuchen, die alle Halamis upituyim was kommen von Esav Zeit. Wow, cool. So too, the influence of Esav should be lost and no longer found. And all the concealments that are resulting, all of his arguments, his deceptive arguments that come from his side should be lost and not found. In other words, Yankov and Esav, the twin brothers, that's Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov. So basically, he's saying we're already in the days after Tisha B'Av, so things are getting, when Chodesh Av comes, so Mematin B'Simcha, you have the 9 days and everything. But after that, we start ramping up into Simcha. So Esav's influence is waning, and the Rebbe is referring to this guy's stress and his worry as the arguments of Esav. So that should dwindle as well. Was dan vet mekuyim veren b'chol levavcha, and then you will be able to fulfill b'chol levavcha, b'lei vav shalem, mitzvei basin, with 2 bases. So levavcha, levav shal. Okay, well, what are the 2 bases? So you could say b'chol libcha, but it doesn't. It says b'chol levavcha. So when you say leiv with 1 base, that means just the heart of the nefesh elokis, just the godly soul. When you say levavcha, then that's with both the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov, with the nefesh elokis and the nefesh abamis. Ivdos Hashem Simcha, meaning you should be able to be happy about your spiritual as well as your material, the things that are good for the soul and for the body, for the godly soul and the animal soul, bivracha, with blessing. Okay, that's our second letter. Very, very quickly, I'll just tease it. Those who follow my stuff know that we bought a property about a half a block from the aisle for a month. We raised the money collectively from you, from the community, from the SoulWords community, virtual community, to get the property. And then for like many months, it was just sitting there, and we were trying to get the money to start construction. And then right before Tishrei, right before the high holidays this year, we started construction. God willing, I will have news to report about a soft opening very soon, and perhaps a Yud Aleph Nissen event. I'm just going to float that out there. Okay, thank you. Good night. Good Shabbos.